Unemployment will apparently remain so high that the Fed will keep interest rates near zero for the next 3 years. Get on that refi. Stat. I'm Alan Barton. Stand by for the front page. Joining me in studio is Ilan Jorno, fellow at the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights, and Terry Jones, associate editor for Investors Business Daily. Terry, all right, tell us a little bit about the Fed's decision here. Is this going to help, hurt, neutral? What do you think?
Well, personally, I think it's going to hurt. I'll tell you why. I think they've already introduced massive distortions into the economy with their $2 trillion program of printing money, with their plan to refi, help refi lots of mortgages, and now with their plan to extend zero interest rate policy out for 3 years. People had been expecting it to be extended, but not that long. So this is a de facto further easing of credit.
Well, aren't they also talking about a possible sort of stated QE3 where they're going to buy more mortgage-backed securities?
Yeah, QE3 is in the cards. And by the way, everybody thinks that the economy is rip-roaring, but the Fed certainly doesn't think that.
But come on, the president said, we're back.
We're back, yeah.
America is back.
1.7% GDP growth last year, which is about half of the rate we should be growing. That's
hey, but we're back.
Quite a return.
Ilan, 2011, the worst year on record for home sales. So part of, we were just talking here about this potential QE3 where the Fed goes in, buys a bunch of mortgage-backed securities, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think of all this intervention? Do you agree with Terry that it's a net loss in terms of economic growth and trying to put things right?
Yeah, I'm with Terry. I think we should learn the lesson that this is enormously destructive to the economy. And the lesson is that the Fed is a huge, huge impediment to growth. And its manipulation of the interest rates is not a market phenomenon. People should realize that it is creating massive distortions, as you pointed out. And we saw what that led to. It was instrumental in the housing bubble. What's the next distortion-led bubble? I don't know, but I think we can assume there's going to be something big and disastrous.
All right, Terry, along with the Fed's announcement, it's also pointed out that capital gains tax rates, which are being discussed ad nauseum because of Romney's taxes, et cetera, and the Buffett rule, which we'll talk about in another segment. But capital gains tax rates are already scheduled to go up, partly because of the expiration of certain tax cuts, and then you've got health reform surtax, I guess, on high-income earners for capital gains. So with federal tax rates looking to go up in 2013, capital gains tax rates already set to go up in 2013, and then you've got like all of this crazy conversation back and forth about what tax rates should or should not be, with Obama positing that they should be higher. What do you see in terms of the economy? Because I think people are forgetting that in 2013, there's a wave of tax increases coming our way already.
Well, investors and the biggest producers as well tend to be, in the higher incomes. And when you start talking about hitting them with higher taxes, it doesn't create an ideal environment for more investment. And let's face it, the most pernicious thing you can do is to tax capital. Our economy right now is not suffering from a dearth of consumption. That's a myth propagated by liberals who say, oh, we're not consuming enough. We have to help consumers, consumer spending. Consumer spending right now is at an all-time high. It's never been higher. What we have not done is we have not helped in, business investment. Business investment is way down. And one of the ways you can help business investment is cut rules, lower taxes, keep capital taxes low, and ideally eliminate them entirely, and make it easier for them to produce. And so far, we haven't done that at all.
Ilan, anything you want to feed off there? I mean, we already talked about the Fed. It seems to be looked at as the Fed is the only single actor that can roam around and do things that affect the economy. Congressman Paul, who has been going on his campaign saying we got to get rid of this thing. What takes the place of the Fed if it isn't there, and how would the economy make its moves?
I think there are many ways to solve the issue of what happens to banking. I don't think the central bank model has served us well. I think it's created enormous problems. And people underestimate the market. We realize how the market leads to enormous innovation in products. But the market, when people are left free to solve problems, they can solve problems like this, which is what do you do with a supply of money? Can you have a private banking system? And I think you can. There are lots of smart people who've thought about the ins and outs of it. And that, I think, is the future to aspire to, because what we have now is an actor that has enormous power, that's unaccountable, and people just don't recognize the massive and sometimes unseen impact it has.
Terry, I'll give you the last word. I mean, where does your stand or IBD's stand on the Fed and its role? Is it just that you feel that it's making all the wrong decisions, or that as a decision maker, it should just be, its power should be lessened or removed?
Yeah, I think of the latter. I mean, I don't think we're ready to go entirely toward a Fed-free world, if only because it does add a certain amount of discretion to public policy. But that said, the Fed has made so many bad moves, it's hard to make a strong case for it. I would argue this, however, and this is backed up by plenty of research. Whenever you have a central bank that does not have hard rules by which it operates, they have far less success in controlling things like inflation and maintaining stability in the currency and all things like that. So at the very minimum, I would say the Fed needs to have a rules-based sort of guidance for it, like inflation, for instance, things of that sort, that would tie its hands from doing crazy things like QE2 and QE1.
And QE3,
And QE3 and
QE10.
ad infinitum.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for Ilan and Terry. I'm Alan Barton. You have been watching Front Page.